Joe likes Scorsese, and Raanan is Jewy. It's Joe and Raanan talk movies.
We're back.
We should just use the earlier footage where we talk shit about everyone we knew.
Not everyone we knew.
That's true.
Cut that. No, just several people. And wait till you hear the shit we're about to talk about. Everybody's favorite summer masterpiece.
Well, I got mixed feelings. This is not going to be like what do you call it? Just a complete.
You still have COVID?
Shit. Yeah, I still have COVID. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Jesus.
I had COVID 2 weeks ago, which is not fun. It still sucks. Everyone's like, it's so annoying. Everyone's like, oh, it's just a cold. It's like, I've never had it be a cold. I've always been like on like a flu, death's door. What's this fucking cold bullshit?
Well, you're a pussy, but also I think people like to just say, it's a cold, but no, it's a worse cold. It's COVID.
It's a flu. It takes a piece of your soul away from you that you don't get back.
Oh, good. They kept the part I wanted to go.
But I'm back.
But you're back. You're feeling all right. Yeah.
I'm back. You can't even tell people you have COVID. They get annoyed. They just get depressed. It's like, this is over. You can't have it. You know what I mean? But whatever.
Well, you are the only person I've heard of having COVID in like 2 years.
It's so annoying. I know.
I don't know anybody that has COVID.
I got scarlet fever this week. I'm going through all of them. But I got back, and then we saw Oppenheimer, me and Kate, IMAX.
Yeah, I didn't see it in IMAX, which I guess
I'm not seeing it in IMAX
because it doesn't matter. It's bullshit. I hate IMAX.
You watched 2001 on your phone? I mean, what the fuck?
No, I watched it on a plane.
Oh,
but don't act like. Hold on. How are you turning this on me? You're that guy.
I'm not.
You watch movies while literally looking at your phone. I've watched movies with you, and every time I talk to you, you're like, I stopped halfway. I was also reading a book. I was in the bathtub.
Oppenheimer, he filmed it on IMAX. The camera that he filmed it on says IMAX.
I know, but. IMAX was sold out because I saw it opening weekend because I care.
I care. I was dead. I was dying. I had
fucking
COVID.
wish you died.
COVID and malaria and typhoid. I was at death's door.
I saw it the first day it came out because that's the kind of movie lover I am, and IMAX was sold out. But also, IMAX is great, whatever, the seats shake and they shoot cum at you or whatever. But the movie theater, it's not like I saw it on like a mini-plex.
The shaking is the only good part of the movie.
Well, if you like shaking, you got to see this Salacue sketch.
But wait, why is the shaking part of IMAX?
I think so, yeah.
It didn't shake for you? It was shaking left and right. I was like hard. I was getting pushed around. I got Kate pregnant. It was like really shaking. What did that have to do with IMAX? Isn't that a sound thing?
IMAX? I don't even know. The screen is big. But my point is, I still saw it in like stadium seating with a massive screen and crazy loud.
Crazy sound.
Although there is no sound when the bomb blows up because it's a
great
fucking
part.
stupid movie.
Oh, I love that part. That part's
you
great.
would.
That part's amazing.
No, it's great. The movie's great. I love the movie.
Not great. The movie, it's so hard to talk about this movie. I have such mixed feelings.
That's okay.
That's okay.
I have mixed feelings about you.
Because it's like, you watch it. I mean, first of all,
they're already furious, by the way.
I know.
Already, everyone's livid.
Well, let's just talk about one of the fundamental problems of a lot of Nolan movies. They're all just a preview. The whole movie is music and people preparing for something.
Right.
He's really good at playing music over people getting ready to do something. And that's like his key. Like you see, like basically you see the trailer for Oppenheimer and then you see the movie and it's just the feeling you get from the trailer for 3 hours. It's basically an extended trailer.
Right.
It's a very extended.
Yes. It's extended for sure.
It's an extended trailer, which that preview feeling is interesting because on one hand, you're not bored because you're being manipulated, but you're not ever having the highs and lows of a great movie.
It's like sex with you.
Yeah. It's
you're
like
being manipulated. It's not great.
I almost feel like it's like almost like being on Prozac, which I'm on, where it's like, your mood's a little better, but it's even.
Right.
That's what Christopher Nolan's like. It's like there are no scenes.
I don't know about no scenes.
I mean, there's like two. I mean, what's a scene that's like longer than 45 seconds?
I don't know. Well, now it's not fresh. I should have taken notes. It's been 10 days. And by the way, my first impression of the movie, I was like, this is amazing.
I know. You told me that.
And
I got excited.
well, here's a couple things. I don't know where to start. We're all over the place. But
Like Oppenheimer. We'll just go in, cutting back.
yeah, and we won't tell anybody what time period it is. That's one of the flaws. I think Christopher Nolan, and I've had this issue with him throughout, is he likes, I don't know why, he likes making a movie confusing.
Yeah.
And I guess it's supposed to, and someone will go, well, it's because of this. He's trying to give you a scattered whatever. And I'm like, why not throw a date up? We're jumping around and just have a little text that says 1935. Because I was fucking lying. And maybe I'm just an idiot, but I know quite a bit about American history.
Yeah.
And I'm like, during the war, you're like, okay, the Nazis are attacking. They're gonna get the bomb. I'm like, okay, it's 1940 something.
Yeah.
Other scenes, I only found out later that was 1958, and the other one was 1935.
It is weird that the future is in black and white.
Right.
like the present time. I mean, here's what, if you break down the movie plot, like structurally, it's very weird. So the movie, basically, if we break it down, is there's 3 timelines essentially, right? There's the timeline where he's in that little office,
yes,
being trying to fight for a security clearance, right?
Yes.
And in that little thing, he tells the story of the bomb, right? Of making it. His whole life, really. He tells his whole story. So that is a flash. So that setup goes into a flashback of his life, which is taken from Social Network, essentially. This movie is Social Network meets JFK. It's like Social Network, that whole court hearing, and it's just But at the same time as that story, they decide on a movie about Oppenheimer to spend 1/3 of the movie talking about someone who he barely knows, by the way. And
we have no idea who he is. This is Robert Downey Jr.'s character, who I never heard. I don't know who this is.
He's not there's literally, they try to make him, spoilers obviously, but they try to make him the big Judas of the movie. But here's the thing. Jesus knew Judas quite well. Robert Downey Jr. has...
You say so. I don't know.
Robert Downey Jr. has 2 scenes with him and then he's like the Judas. So this whole third of the movie is him trying to get on the president's cabinet board and then getting his maneuverings kind of backfiring and him getting taken off the board, basically, or him not getting enough votes to get on the board. And in that story, which is in black and white, in that story, he also tells about the past. So there's really 4 timelines. There's a confirmation. There's him trying to get his security clearance.
Yes, which I don't give a fuck about.
And then if you don't give a fuck about that, then you're really not going to give a fuck about this other character trying to get confirmed to a cabinet.
Exactly. That's the fundamental
And then him telling
problem.
his own story, and then they go back and forth between these 4. It's like 4 timelines. 2 main things with 2 flashbacks.
And at no point do they say this is happening here, or this is 1935, or this is 1958, or whatever. They don't say any of that. And he doesn't look all that different.
And just to keep the comment, we're going to get these annoying comments. Here's what I already, just so, by the way, comments are so annoying. They assume we don't know anything. But like, we're going to get a comment here. We're like, well, he used a different camera lens for each.
Yeah, okay, great.
But it's still fucking confusing and also just unnecessary. The Robert Downey Jr. thing is so unnecessary, and I can tell you it's unnecessary because the wife in that is so poorly developed. It's like maybe spend a little more time on her and a little less time on this character that has barely anything to do with it.
And then they present it like a big twist.
Yeah.
And he's very mustache twirly. He's like, nah.
Well, you know what it is.
You're like, what? Who cares? What is he, go-go gadget asshole?
Well, that's the problem. It's like, on one hand, it's very smart to use Robert Downey Jr. because he's never played like this vain Machiavellian guy. Mm-hmm. And for most of the movie, his acting is great for that. Like when he's getting embarrassed by Oppenheimer in that room, that creates his big Trump moment where Obama embarrasses him, Sure. It's Robert Downey Jr., so he's smiling, kind of hiding. He knows how to act in a charming way to hide it. But that last scene at the end, that's the big scene where he takes off his mask.
Right.
And that's the problem with Christopher Nolan. You're making an adult movie about one of the biggest adult themes in the world, but you're still making a superhero movie. Robert Downey Jr. is still just taking off his mask. This is the real me at the end, and I'm angry, and it's like he knows he's a villain.
Right. I was also watching going, who is this guy? You know what I mean? I'm like, it's about Oppenheimer. I don't care. And this is and it's just, I'm going to take it a different angle, but like the second hour, and this is what's hard is there's no YouTube tap the screen, see how much time you have left. So you get lost in the movie, which I did.
We get lost.
The beginning, I thought was a bit slow. The ending was slower than Corky Thatcher. I mean, it was, but the middle where they're trying to get the bomb, we need to build, and maybe I'm just a simpleton, I'm an asshole, but they're trying to get the bomb, we need to build the bomb, which I have an understanding of, the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
That was compelling filmmaking, and there was some great, I thought Matt Damon was fantastic.
Matt Damon, this is like his best performance.
Best performance.
He's
and
great.
In my mind, there was one point I was like, I think Matt Damon might win an Oscar, and then it becomes about Robert Downey Jr., so you're like, oh, he's going to get it.
Well, this is what he did, Christopher Nolan, which I think is always, he didn't combine any characters. He didn't make any composite characters like you want to do sometimes when you edit real life.
Like Robert Downey Jr. in Zodiac.
Yeah, exactly. So he, was that multiple characters? Or?
Well, they weren't actually friends. I think it was a couple different characters.
You got to make some shit up. But instead, you don't do that, so you show every character. So then the Matt Damon relationship with Oppenheimer is the most important. But that gets ruined by this Robert Downey Jr. shit, which once again, I have to express this. There is 2 scenes between Robert Downey Jr. and Oppenheimer. There's a scene where he gives him a tour of the college, which is no relationship built. And then I guess there's a scene where he's getting embarrassed in the confirmation hearing. And then there's a scene where he's like, comes to the, the table when they're worried that Russia is building a bomb.
Right.
But there's no relationship where there's a betrayal where you're like, this ain't exactly fucking Fredo, Godfather 2. Like they barely know each other.
Yeah.
And he spends, and this guy, and like there's a part at the end where his assistant, because Christopher Nolan doesn't know how to write dialogue from like anyone's perspective. Everyone's just making points. There's a part where the assistant is like, he's like, what did he talk about with Einstein? And the assistant goes, he's probably talking about something other than you, something more important, you know?
Right.
And that's just a point he's making. There's no character motivation. He's just saying a point for the movie. But could the movie take that point and not have him a third of the movie if he's not that important?
Well, I also thought that they kept building it, again, like the comic book movie type of thing. Like Nolan sticks with what he does, where they keep teasing that ending, the conversation, they keep alluding to it, and then it builds up to now I'm jumping to the end, but it builds up to the end, and I saw a lot of people being like, that ending though, and that last conversation, that Nolan ending, and they just reveal that he's like, yeah, we might destroy the world.
Yeah.
But here's my issue with that. Sorry, we're jumping all over the place here. My issue with that is it's 80 years later. We might all still die in a nuclear holocaust, but 80 years have passed. We didn't have a nuclear holocaust.
Well, there's still chances.
I know, but now it's not like because of Oppenheimer.
Right.
Like if all of a sudden Russia shoots all its nukes at us and we shoot all our nukes at them and then India gets involved, it's 2023. We're not like, Oppenheimer. You know what I mean? Like, if this movie came out in 1953, it would be a chilling ending. Like, holy shit, we're all gonna die, and we might still die of nuclear holocaust.
And it was gonna happen anyway. Like, it's not like if Oppenheimer wasn't around.
That's exactly my point. By now, somebody would have come up with this.
Well, you're kind of making the point, which a scene I really do like, the 2 scenes of the movie. You're making kind of the point Harry Truman makes, which is not about you. No one, even when the bomb got dropped, they're not thinking, the Japanese are like, ooh, Robert Oppenheimer. You know what I mean? Right. That scene's, by the way, great with Gary Oldman.
Loved that scene.
He seems so evil.
Well, that's when it was still great. That's the moment. I didn't get to finish my point earlier, because I'm jumping around and all crazy.
Well, that's an homage to Oppenheimer. We can't ever get a scene going.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, so when they build up to the bomb, which is incredible filmmaking, so exciting, masterful, and they're setting it all up, and they're putting I feel like plenty of Kubrick references here. Dr. Strangelove, an actual masterpiece about the nuclear bomb, by the way. Just rewatched that. Unbelievably good. Kubrick, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyway, you hate him, but that whole sequence, that middle hour was amazing. And because I was lost in the film, I thought we were at the ending, and I turned into a boy. I was elbowing Monis. I was like, this is amazing. I was literally like, this is a movie. Is this unbelievable? I mean, smile ear to ear. It finishes, the bomb goes off, yada yada. Then then they have the moment where he talks to Truman and all the stuff, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm thinking we're winding down. Then there's 45 minutes.
Robert Downey Jr. at the DMV trying to get his license. New picture for his license.
This is the fundamental problem with the film, in my opinion. The whole final plot, the driving plot, the last hour, is about whether or not Oppenheimer can keep his security clearance.
Right.
What the fuck do I care if he has a security clearance or not?
Yeah, look, I agree. I mean, I guess they were trying to say, like, because of this betrayal, he wasn't able to have his 2 cents in how to, like, stop this nuclear escalation.
Yeah.
So that America stopped using his, like, advice. Because that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, and this is the sad thing about Nolan, like, when you watch Dark Knight, you're like, this is a really good movie.
Agreed.
And what's really good is that it doesn't have to be deep about characters because it's a comic book movie. So you let it go. But then he makes this movie, and it's like the same characterization level, except it's like ultimately he is a superhero, Oppenheimer, and and the betrayal keeps America from following the advice of the superhero. And that's ultimately what I feel like the characterizations are. Christopher Nolan deals with complex issues told through the most simple characterizations. There's no moral complexity. Everyone in this movie is either a snake or not a snake. You know what I mean? It's just so simplistic. And then with the stuff with security clearance, I really do think like that whole part should be about his guilt and being haunted. And instead it's more about America not listening to the advice of Superman. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what to me it's about, being brought down by petty men.
Did you finally knock your boner down?
Yeah. But my, like, and you're right, and this is why, what you're saying just now is why I have mixed feelings. As much as I think the screenplay is a giant mess, which is probably the most unreadable screenplay of all time,
right,
there are moments of this movie where you're like, this is pure cinema, and it feels like we're at a cinematic level similar to like when you see Spielberg at its best. Right. And those moments give me mixed feelings because like as much of a chaos this movie is, I'll take it over almost any other fucking Enigma code bullshit biopic. Right. Just because it's like there are moments where when he drops the bomb, that moment is incredible. And it's cinematic, but you're also thinking about us entering this world of the atomic age. And it is a crazy world to enter into. We enter into a world where it could end at any moment. You know what I mean? And that is a change in our consciousness, you know? Right. And the movie captures that in an ominous, beautiful way. What it does not capture is just the internal feelings of fucking Robert Oppenheimer. It like never, and I was trying to think about where this movie fails. Because it's so hard to figure out what the flaws of the movie because it's all just fucking coming at you. Mm-hmm. I think the fault in the movie is you never have quiet moments with Oppenheimer where you, like, for instance, the scene where Matt Damon, and this is where I think the problem really comes. The scene with Matt Damon where he tells he wants to pick him to be the head of the Manhattan Project, right? Yes. That should then lead to some quiet moments where he's realizing he's about to be ahead of this project where he's going to create a bomb, and an important scene where he tells his wife, and you see how his wife feels about it. Right. And they ignore all that and instead just cut to a montage of, we're going to need your best scientists, bring their families, the flag, everything getting what he's best at, which is just music over people preparing. Right. But you forget the dramatic moment, so you don't know how his wife feels about it. You don't know his feelings, and then that becomes a problem because you're like, when he brings David Krumholtz, who's very good, and David Krumholtz goes, I don't know if I want to be a part of this. A bomb will drop on the just and the unjust. Don't they already know that? Like, are these geniuses really, like, contemplating this for the first time? Right. This is what I don't understand. Like, he seems to not have any guilt, and then the minute the bomb, then he's like, later on, he's like, oh, yeah, maybe. But it's like, shouldn't he have guilt the whole time? Mixed with a determination, and shouldn't we be seeing that?
Well, I think he's not thinking the guilt because he's like the Nazis.
But there's no way he wouldn't be thinking that. You're still dropping a bomb on Germany.
Well, I think part of it I understand, like that you got to stick to the task at hand, and it's only later that you worry about that. I mean, I'm making a movie. I'm going, we got to make a movie. This is going to be great. And then we make it, and I'm like, yeah, my family might not react great to this.
But I still think there's moments where you'd think he'd have some doubt or something. And if he's not going to have doubt, express that more.
Yeah, I did have doubt the whole time. What am I talking about?
Express his hatred of the Germany that much. And then express what his wife thinks about it. I mean, maybe I'm just demanding something conventional, but what I think I'm demanding is like actual like drama. Like, what is his wife? His wife is so poorly developed, and it's annoying to me. It's like either don't show the wife or explore the wife. Don't just have her. She's just drinking because of the baby one scene. They drop off the baby, and then she's just drunk for the rest of the movie. And then at the end, she becomes more of a defender and protector.
Well, this is a common criticism in all his films.
Women suck.
He hates women, yeah.
They do. They suck in this. They are such bad. Florence Pugh doesn't need to be in this at all. You don't know why he's going back to Florence.
Well, her tits were pretty cool.
Her tits were good. By the way, you know why they showed the tits, right?
I don't know.
It's Schindler's tits. Spielberg shows nudity in Schindler's List to say, I'm a different director now. I'm a mature director. And Nolan, who is like Spielberg in many ways, is showing tits to show this ain't Batman and Joker and Spider-Man.
We got tits?
This is an adult movie. Is it rolling?
What we got? We got a battery? We're back.
But so I just like, what were we talking about? Yeah, the women. Oh, did I say the Schindler's tits thing?
Yeah, you said Schindler's tits. You don't remember saying Schindler's tits 10 seconds ago?
Okay. So that's why he's showing tits to show he's an adult movie, which is kind of funny to be like the most middle school thing.
What's the best Christopher Nolan film?
The Prestige.
That's the one I haven't seen. Everyone keeps telling me that.
I mean, it's very literal, and the characterizations are kind of like, once again, just very simple. But
I really like Memento.
Memento's really good too.
Yeah, Memento is great.
Prestige is like incredibly well structured, and like it's basically just one giant magic act. But what I like about The Prestige is that it's really nihilistic and like has a very like vicious view of reality that I think is really cool. His earlier movies, Memento and The Prestige, are both like very dark, nihilistic movies. And I like that. Then he kind of became center. I like parts of Interstellar a lot, and I think The Dark Knight.
Interstellar, I have no memory. Interstellar, Arrival, Gravity, and The Martian are just one movie to me. Luke Monis was telling me, he's like, Interstellar is his best movie. He's like, I love that movie. I watched it 25 times, and I'm like, that's the one with Amy Adams? And he's like, no.
Wait, she might be in that too. Oh, no, she's not.
No, she's in Arrival.
Yeah.
Do you confuse all those movies? It's all one big spaceship to me.
I don't know if I mean, I like Interstellar. I mean, it has
that's McConaughey and his dad or something. He's sad about his dad.
Yeah, it's like Field of Dreams in space. It's sentimental,
that sounds good.
But it has some great moments. And once again, it has moments like this where you're like, you feel like you're watching something new. Like with that movie, you're like, wow, this is a big budget movie, but it's incorporating the theory of relativity and space exploration. You feel like you're watching something bold and ambitious. And that's when Nolan is the best. And so you're not getting this from other movies. You know what I mean? But he's so bad with characters and dialogue. He's so
that's
bad.
The big knock on him.
That's the big knock. And the best way to do a movie in terms of writing characters is when everyone thinks they're the main character. That's what Election is. Everyone just thinks they're the main character.
Right.
That's human drama. Where in this movie, everyone knows Oppenheimer is the main character. Well, they're all just telling him platitudes and wisdom and shit. And that's just bad screenwriting.
Well, you compare him to Spielberg, and this is what everyone can learn from Spielberg, even though he's got a bunch of stinkers too. But Megalodon 2 is coming out, and all these people try to make shark movies, and you're like, Jaws is about 3 guys.
Yeah,
the shark is like secondary. All three completely different guys with 3 different motivations, all connected through this thing, and there's so much setup. But in between the setup, they shoot to a shark eating a kid or biting a guy's leg off, and it makes it work.
Yeah.
These other movies, they just don't. Schindler's List, too, it's like there's so much depth with Amon Goeth or whatever, and Ben Kingsley and Ishak Stern and Oscar Schindler. You know them, and you know the victims because they keep popping into them and getting to know them. When's the last time we sat around and did this?
For Spielberg, for all his craziness, the characters are the most important in his movies. You know what I mean? Except for maybe Jurassic Park. But his characters are the most important. And Christopher Nolan, I don't know. It's like he cares more about ideas and he cares more about creating a new sense of way to tell time. For him, time is the main character. He's obsessed with time. And I really think his movies have the rhythm of almost like an art house movie where you don't know what's going on. And I wanted to read something. I was reading Pauline Kael. And she was talking about...
She reviewed this?
She was talking about kind of these avant-garde movies from like Last Night at Marienbad, all these avant-garde movies that cut a bunch and have no sense of time and how people think they're brilliant. But it made me think of this movie. I was reading it yesterday. It said, listen to the sentence. It has become easy, especially for those who consider time a problem and a great theme, to believe that fast editing out of normal sequence, which makes it difficult or impossible for the audience to know if any action is taking place, is somehow more cinematic than a consecutively told story.
Interesting.
And it's like, by not having anything really linear, by cutting, we all think this must be brilliant.
It's interesting because you've said before, though, that time should be the enemy in every film.
Yeah, but that's different.
Oh, okay. Because you love time, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is true. I mean, getting old, dying, but like, I'm saying a sense of where you are in the movie, the time, the sense of where everything's happening, not having any consecutive story, any kind of linear story,
right,
hurts the drama quite a bit because you're never engaged in any moment. You're never like present.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it in this movie specifically, it's just plopping around. And the same with Tenet, which I still don't know what the fuck happened in that movie. I have no concept. Momentum takes time to figure out also. But he insists on making his movies a little bit confusing because I think he thinks they add depth.
I think
I don't get it.
I think it hides bad character development. That's my problem. Like, oh, this is so deep. You're in different times and you're creating a whole different way of seeing a movie. But I'm like, yeah, but the dialogue is all really bad. And it's hard to tell because there's music playing. Always be suspect when music is playing over all dialogue moments. Because, like, that hides dialogue being bad. Mm-hmm. And most of this movie is just characters telling Oppenheimer something Oppenheimer or they said years ago, reminding them that sentence, which is something people don't do in real life. But it's like, he'll be like, he'll say something when they were like, in their 30s. He'll be like, you can't mess with physics. And then later on, he'll be like, you can't mess with physics. Yeah. And he's like, and they're not like, well, yeah, what are you repeating? I remember. You know what I mean? It's like bad dialogue. Most people in the movie are making a point. Mm-hmm. No one's really speaking from their own selfish desires or their own objective. Like that Robert Downey Jr.'s assistant who's just the morality.
Which was that again? Was that Rami Malek?
No. That was the guy.
It was like a Wes Anderson movie. Every actor's in it. They just pop in and say a couple
that's the
things.
JFK part.
It's like Casey Affleck is in there.
He was great.
He's in there. I mean, he's always great. Yeah. And then you have Rami Malek, who I hated that he got to be the fucking hero, too. It just bothered me. He's like an underdeveloped character. He's just like hot right now.
He's like not in the movie at all.
Yeah. And then he's just like,
why are we supposed to care that this character does the right thing at the end? This character that we've seen for 12 seconds.
Because he's Freddie Mercury. That's really what it felt like. Is that it felt like let's get an actor with heat and then just plug him in and have him do something.
This movie
it's kind of like 12 Years a Slave when like Brad Pitt comes in and he like frees the slave.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, good night, everybody.
Brad Pitt.
And he like moonwalks out of there.
I don't. For me, the communist hysteria and then the guilt about the atomic bomb are like two different movies, and like they force. It's like there's two movies here. And they force them both into one movie.
Well, this is my thought. So the middle third of the movie, which I thought was a masterpiece, was masterful, was fun, reminded me very much of Apollo 13, which of course is one of my favorite movies. It's like we're all coming together, and this is what I thought the movie should have been. And I'm an asshole. I'm not Christopher Nolan, so I'm probably wrong. Comment, hate me, fuck me, algorithm. But all of that, the stuff you're talking about with the building the town, recruiting people, bringing everybody in for a cause was so exciting and so fun, just like Apollo 13, which is such a fun, amazing movie. And then in addition to the Apollo 13, you have Apollo 13, they get them back safe. Everybody cheers. It's amazing. This movie, you could do that, and now you have to live with you just murdered 250,000 people.
Right.
And then there's some feeling of like, what did we do? This is crazy. Give me 20 minutes at the end of that of like, where I'm a piece of shit, fuck me. That to me would have interested me, but maybe I'm stupid.
No, I think you're right. And I think you're bringing up a main issue with the movie, which is that this topic is so interesting.
Yes.
That why does it have to be told in a jumble? It's not.
That's what I'm saying.
If it was
he
a linear
just confuses
movie,
things for fun.
If it was a linear movie, it's not like we'd be like, oh, we've seen this before. The guy who has the guilt of thinking he's saving the world but killing hundreds of thousands of Japanese people. We've never seen that movie.
Right.
Why are you jumbling something that we've never seen in the first place.
That's what I'm saying. He's like stylizing a thing that doesn't need to be stylized and making it confusing. And I don't care about the fucking clearance code. I care about this human being.
You care about the haunting, what's going on in his head. And you know what it does?
Which they give you for a couple minutes, which is great.
Yeah, but you mean the part where like
he's giving the speech and
that part's beautiful visually.
Yes.
Yeah, but then he also like. Was he not having guilt before at all? I can't believe that he's not going to prepare to be like, this might be hard for me to like deal with.
Well, that's interesting too, though, because it's like you get your mind set on a goal, which is kind of relatable in a way. You're like, no, I have to do this. Has to be done. I have like someone, whatever you're working on, whether it's like I'm trying to get in shape or whatever, and you only realize later, like maybe I wasn't the best husband or the best boyfriend at this time because I was focused on this.
That is clouded by just montage after montage. You know what I mean? Even that feeling. There's no quiet contemplative moments. It's just all music over preparation.
Right.
It's just all music over. It's just the montage hides any drama. And then to the point where he gets so lost in it that this last hour of the movie, we're watching characters that aren't even in the movie. Like the big scene with Robert Downey Jr. and Rami Malek and all this. Like this isn't the movie.
Yeah, I didn't care. I feel bad that I didn't care, but I didn't care.
Why do you care whether he's trying to become a cabinet member? Who gives a shit?
That's the thing is like, it's a guy I have not heard of. Oh, and then there's the other moment that I really loathed. That just felt like, let's put that in. I like that.
Yeah.
Is when he's like, who voted no?
Kennedy, yeah.
Some junior senator out of Boston trying to make a name for himself, which they could have left it at that. Like everybody in the room is like, oh, I know what's going on here.
So stupid.
What was his name?
Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy. Da-da-da-da! And
what's the point of that?
It also is like, yeah, well, it's also like that would have been more something if John F. Kennedy then dropped the bomb on Vietnam or something.
It means nothing.
Like it connected it only to be like, fun fact.
See,
that's
liberals,
what it felt like.
They're smart.
It felt like pop-up video or something. Like a VH1 pop-up video.
It's origin story bullshit.
Right.
But the origin story is like American government?
That's right.
It's so lame. It's Marvel bullshit.
That's exactly what it felt like. It felt like in the end of the first Batman where they're like, yeah, there was a big crazy crime. He's like, by who? I don't know. This card we found, and he flips it, it says Joker, and you're like, ah.
I don't know. He had a face, and it was a different face. One face, three face. I don't know what it's called. Yeah.
But it would have been less.
He waddled a little. He waddled. I don't know. Kind of like what's that bird? And
it would have been less annoying if they had cut it where he says, well, who the hell voted no? I don't know. Some junior senator out of Boston.
Or even better, not having that scene at all.
Well, of course.
That whole fucking act.
I know. That's the thing. And that's what was so sad to me because there's nothing I love more in life than being able to run around like Paul Revere being like, there's a new masterpiece.
Yeah.
You got to see it.
Of course.
And I'm watching in the middle of the movie. I'm like, this is so fun. I'm going to tell everybody this is a fucking you got to go see this. This is amazing. It's going to save cinema. And then the last 40, slowly, my head's going, I don't care for this.
Well,
I'm pretty tired. I don't know what's going on here.
Because the detached montage way of telling the story never has Nolan engage in the internal feelings of Oppenheimer and never dealing with that relationship or the relationship with his marriage. Because he's not connected to those things, it allows him to drift away into all different things. But if he was more connected to fucking Oppenheimer's actual, journey, whether you understand it fully or not, it can be a mystery, but if he was more connected to the internal feelings of Oppenheimer, he would have had the clarity to be like, I can't have an hour and a half of this be about Robert Downey Jr. waiting. You know what I mean? He would have the clarity to be like, this is a huge distraction. But because he's not committed to anything, because he's not committed to Oppenheimer, it allows him to just not be committed to anything and drift away. It's kind of a lesson about life in general. If you don't commit to a story, a life, you're just drifting to all different. It's almost like watching Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's just like it's all drifting away. But like
I drifted during that story.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're like attached to what Oppenheimer's feeling, or you're feeling the subjective quality of him and his wife, you would be like, this is a huge waste of time. To have a third of the movie be about Robert Downey Jr. when you haven't really shown Oppenheimer.
Right. I just that guy's not somebody I ever heard of
Who
in my
gives a
life.
shit?
Strauss. I don't know that guy.
I want to know about Oppenheimer, how he's haunted by the bomb. I want to know what he felt when he was doing the project. I want to know how he felt when he finally suddenly Matt Damon's like, you're in. I want to know how he felt right after. Remember Men in Black? When he has to decide whether he's going to be a Men in Black and he sits on the bench and watches the sun go down.
Not really.
They spent more time in contemplation of Men in Black than this guy creating an atomic bomb. I want to know how he feels. And by the way, all the movie does is pick up little things and just discard them. The poison apple, he's about to kill someone. And then we never fucking explore that ever again.
I forgot about that. That's at the very beginning. God, it's been 9 days and 3 hours since I saw the beginning.
They never explore that.
Right, he was going to kill somebody.
They never explore that. His character is just doesn't make any sense. He's like humiliating Robert Downey Jr. one scene, but he never has that kind of attitude, like where he's like humiliating someone in public like that. He's just all out of sorts. It's like, what about the poison apple? Are we bringing that up at all? Basically, Christopher Nolan read a biography and is like, I want to use every moment in it.
Right.
You're doing all the editing in the movie, but none of the editing in the guy's life.
Somebody said I work with a comic, funny guy, Jack something, MC. Right. But we were talking about, come on, too soon. We were talking about, he said his thought was like Nolan's movies are just events. It's just a thing built around an event, but no real proper story. Yeah. It's just like, oh, okay, the bomb. And then we'll just sprinkle in some shit around it.
Because you know why? Because what do you end up thinking when you leave the movie? You don't think about Oppenheimer. You know who you think about? Christopher Nolan. His ego gets in the way. He wants every moment to be like, this is a Christopher Nolan movie. But a great movie shouldn't be like, this is Christopher Nolan. It should be like, wow, what Oppenheimer went through. But it's always, he never lets you forget Christopher Nolan is controlling every moment by editing and time and narration. He's never, like, he gets in his own way to the point where there's no real story.
Maybe you heard of him, some new senator. I don't know if he'll amount to anything. JFK.
He's got a thick accent.
Whoa.
Maybe with a reference to the fact that he clearly cribbed from Social Network. And he clearly cribbed from Social Network. There's literally the shot of him rushing to that lecture in the beginning in the rain. It's like literally like just this shot right out of Social Network. But then he clearly cribbed from JFK by having using celebrities to make you remember a cast of 5 billion people.
I got to see it again. I loved it. I don't even remember half of it. Let me ask you this, because I took some notes here. Well, I didn't take notes. I took screenshots of our.
We should cut this up so you don't know the time. Like we should just cut. We should memento this whole episode
or any other movie he's ever done.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch of amazing moments in the movie. But also, I think, and I'm a guy who's usually immune to this, and I hate when people are like, well, it was overplayed, it was built up, or what do you call that? When people,
overhyped?
Yeah, overhyped. But I do think I am mad about some of these reviews that are like masterpiece, the most important movie of the best movie. Paul Schrader, who I love, who's like a genius, like best movie of the century. I'm like,
he said that?
Yeah. And you're like, you're telling me this is better than No Country for Old Men? I mean, that's fucking nuts. That's crazy to me.
You then start to worry, like, are we just not
ready
for something new? But then I'm like,
I searched reviews. There's a bunch of reviews that say the exact same thing we're saying. Not a bunch, but
Richard Brody,
a handful.
I don't know if you read that review, New Yorker. I think it was New Yorker. He talks shit about it so much. But to the point where I'm like, I have more mixed feelings than that. I think it's somewhere in the middle. There's great moments, and it's a huge mess.
I will watch it again, and probably again. It is fun. Like I said, the middle third was masterful and fun. But then I'm like, maybe I'm a basic bitch. I just like everyone trying to build the bomb, which I thought was so exciting.
But that's the preview. That's literally it's just the preview, but longer. That's the thing. And of course, it's fun to watch. I love watching previews, but it's not a movie.
That's true.
It's just like the hope of a movie.
Let me see here. There's another interesting criticism that I wanted to talk about, if I can find it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, keep going. You say something. Here it is. Found it. This is a criticism that I wonder what your opinion is on this. This is a guy that was kind of shitting on the movie, but the Big Bang itself. So they're talking about the scene where they finally explode the bomb.
Yeah.
It says the Big Bang itself, when it finally arrives as the bomb is tested in the wee hours of that fateful day, codenamed Trinity, is, as I have to say, a letdown. Nolan shows it impressionistically, the sound cutting out, image of images of what looks like the radioactive hellfire, but the terrifying awesomeness, the nightmare bigness of it all does not come across, nor does it evoke the description of witnesses who say that the blast was streaked with purple and gray and many times brighter than the noonday sun. What do you make of that criticism?
Well, the last part seems like an autistic guy. Like, actually, there's a purple tint when it blew up, and it's not shown in the movie.
But that is interesting to me that, like, there are obviously eyewitnesses that said something, and then he made it look different. Don't you think that's interesting?
Yeah, but that kind of gets into, like, maybe other eyewitnesses said something different. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, I don't know.
But I do see his point, because it is expressionistic or whatever you want to call it. There's not, like, the actual, like...
Yeah,
it's very silent and cutting to faces and stuff.
I don't know. For me, I think that kind of captured it more realistically, just because I don't think people could really get a sense of what it looked like. So it's actually not capturing the bomb as much.
Why can't they get a sense of what it looks like?
I don't think you can like look at it exactly in the correct view. You have to wear those glasses, and I think I don't know. And I think it's so blinding. People probably couldn't see. I think it captures.
But they said it was purple and wavy.
I know, but I'm sure other people had different accounts. It's not like I don't know if you can like fully like. I don't know. I think it captures people's reaction to it more than the actual experience. I don't know. I guess I like that. I mean, I like the subjective experience.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't think that when I watched it, I wasn't like, nah, disappointing.
I was like pretty entertained in that moment.
I was too, but that's why when I read this, I'm like, maybe that's a good point. I like that point.
I don't know. I mean, I honestly think the only real surprise in the movie, because the movie, sound and time are the two most important things in the movie, the only really surprise in the movie was when it blows up, they don't use sound in that moment, when they've used sound in every other moment. And it's such a sound type movie.
Right.
So that was the big, like, twist of the movie technically. Like, oh, he uses sound in every moment, and then when the bomb blows up, sound can't even capture it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I do think that was a cool twist, way better than any other dramatic twist. Like, Robert Downey Jr. being the villain is obvious.
Well,
quickly.
The other twist is that moment comes 40% of the way into the movie.
Right.
That was a twist.
The other thing about the last line, and this is a point, like, in terms of his dialogue, he's just such a bad dialogue. Like, I don't know. To me, Christopher Nolan's always trying to make a movie with a bad script, and I just don't think it's possible. You know, like, even that last line, and maybe the masses are dumb that it's spelled out, even that last line is a perfect example of how he lacks complete subtlety at any level. When he goes, remember when I told you?
I hated it.
Remember when I told you that we were worried it would set a chain reaction that would destroy the world? All you have to do in that moment is then have that weird montage and then just end. And the audience in their head will go, oh, that was right. But he's so an enemy of subtlety that he has to literally have the last line be what everyone would be thinking anyway, which I'm going, I think we were right. It's like, we already know that's what you're saying.
That's the same with the JFK thing.
Yeah, it's overwritten.
That's what it was. And again, I'm like, I shouldn't have, but like I saw on Twitter, everyone like, that last moment, forget about it. And I saw a lot of it after. They kept talking about it like it was like the end to Inception or the end of because he does those
obvious statement?
Those big endings.
An obvious statement you expect from the beginning of the movie?
They kept teasing that end. They kept alluding to like, he's walking towards them. What did they say? He's going to say something. And like I said, if this, I'm just going to repeat myself, but if it came out in 1952 or 1948, it would have left you chilled. Like, oh my God,
right.
We're going to all die in nuclear holocaust. Like, the Cold War ended. And again, I'm not saying there's no chance of nuclear holocaust, but 80 years have passed.
Well,
it didn't cause a chain reaction. You can't call it a chain reaction if 80 years in between the chain links.
Well, I mean, it's still probably going to be, I don't know. It still could be
It would be like if I fucking sneezed right now and I'm like, I'm worried this is going to cause a chain reaction that Raanan's going to get sick and die.
Right.
And then you get sick and die in 2065.
You think, in other words, you're saying the time has passed so much that Oppenheimer's accountability for it is not really there anymore.
I think the world had to experience a nuclear holocaust in Oppenheimer's lifetime for that to be that meaningful. If we had a huge nuclear war in fucking 1961 in the Bay of Pigs, whatever the fuck you call it, Cuban Missile Crisis, they shot and blew Florida
My
off.
issue is that you're not learning anything in that line. We already know that. Like, they already talked about how the world could have been destroyed in that 0%. Like, the idea that like this could end in a like nuclear holocaust is an idea of the whole movie.
Right.
So why is that a big revelation at the end? It's not. it's a stupid person's masterpiece. They're not actually learning anything, but in their head, because there's music, they're like, what a crazy ending. Really? On a dramatic level, are you really that amazed? Oh my God. Einstein wasn't talking about this character we don't give a shit about.
Right.
Oh my God. Nuclear bombs could lead to the destruction of the world. We already know that. You're not learning anything.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no surprise.
That's what I'm saying. And also, if we brought back fucking Robert Oppenheimer, is it Robert?
Yeah.
Richard? Yeah, Robert Oppenheimer. Right now, we could bring him back for a day and take him around and show him around. And he said, wow, it looks pretty good here. And you went, yeah, as a matter of fact, that bomb in Nagasaki, that's the last time an atomic bomb has been dropped. He would be like this. Woo! Oh, wow.
I guess
seriously?
I am a saint.
You're like, yeah, we got pretty close a couple times, but yeah, we just worked it out.
You might have been a little scared when you tell him that at one point Russia was about to drop nuclear.
Well, that's what I just said.
Yeah, but like, if that moment can happen, it can happen again.
Of course, but don't you see my fucking point?
I think you're being a little literal.
If he came back in 2023 and you're like, yeah, it hasn't happened, he'd be like, okay, that was all right. Thanks God, because at that moment when I was talking to Einstein at the end of this fucking overrated film, I thought it was going to be in the next 6 months.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I mean, look, you think it is like an incorrect last statement. I think it's.
I'm not saying it's incorrect. I'm just saying it's not as meaningful because there hasn't been a fucking huge
You think it's not
war.
as meaningful because it's like it hasn't happened. I think it's not as meaningful. It's because it's like obvious.
Well, I think that also.
Yeah, but
yes.
Either point, it's not meaningful.
Clearly, and yes, I agree. That was obvious before they even made the bomb.
Yeah,
it's like this could cause a chain reaction to end the fucking world.
Movie is
same with AI. Oh, I'm so scared.
The movie is told with the shallowness of an art house movie that's not really about anything. So you're like, ooh, all these cuts. I don't know what's going on. It must be brilliant. But then there's a real story there that they've just ruined and muddled. I don't know. I mean, like, I want to know about Oppenheimer after the. I want to know I don't want him in that hearing room. I want to know, I want to know about him. You don't really know anything about him by the end.
And this climax, I know we're just repeating and we can probably wrap it up, but the climax is three guys who I also don't know or give a shit about being like, I vote no. To your security, I don't even know what a security clearance is. What does that mean? How much different is his life with a security clearance to not?
They're
He
just
gets
trying to
some
say
he gets
America's
information.
not using it as advice, but it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah,
Exactly. Who cares?
The point is that Christopher Nolan.
But we're making the same point.
Yes.
What does he live? What does his life look like? I don't care about the
there's
security
nothing
clearance.
internal.
I want to know if he's tossing and turning
because
at
Christopher
night.
Nolan can only think in externalities because he's a fucking superhero director. Everything has to be external. There can't be anything internal. What's external? Him being removed his security clearance. It's basically no different than Gotham being like, we no longer want to listen to Batman. It's no different. It's the same thing.
They're breaking the fucking bat light.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. They're breaking the bat light, and Gotham is now, in the hands of like Malcone or the fucking mob. That's all it is. He doesn't know how to do internal. I thought when I saw Dark Knight, this was an adult director taking a comic book and making it deeper, but obviously the comic book, so it can't go that deep. What I realized is that's as deep as he can. Are you covering your ears?
Yeah.
That's as deep as he can go.
Right.
He can only go comic book deep.
Yes.
And it's like
comic book deep.
That's external. Like that's the thing. Communist hysteria is that's maneuverings that but it's the movie's begging to be internal. Begging.
Right.
It's begging. The same way Social Network does a good job of showing his internal thing. It's begging. And the movie just can only look at external shit.
And there's just too many Jews.
Too many Jews.
Let's be honest.
But by the end of the movie, he's so detached from the internal, he's literally having the climax be about characters who aren't that important.
Yeah, I agree. And he's a Jew with crystal blue Irish eyes.
I know. Well, don't get me started on that. You can't. Every actor has to be the exact race. He better be handicapped. He better be Muslim. Unless it's a Jew, then you can just get a fucking Irish guy. No one gives a shit.
One of those piercing blue eyes Jews.
That's right. I'm saying it. The Jews are unfairly represented in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's not fair, and they can't crack into this fucking industry.
I know.
It's bullshit.
But I will say this. People act like Jews are weak. Between Einstein and Oppenheimer, we created the bomb.
Yeah. Jews, also, Israel is the fucking baddest nation ever put on this earth.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not weak.
And the holiest.
Yeah.
It's real.
But anyway, great
also,
moment.
we should talk about some of the performances.
Yeah.
Silly hand, whatever his name is.
Killian. Celtic.
Silly
Boston
ass
Celtic.
Murphy.
Killian.
He's tremendous, don't you
great.
think? He's
Yeah.
fantastic. He's gonna get it. This is gonna clean up at the Oscars. I don't agree though with the best movie of the century. Whatever, still very good, but. He's going to win an Academy Award. The sound will win an Academy Award. The editing will win an Academy
Can I tell
Award.
you though, real quickly, it's interesting that Paul Schrader said that because I do think the power of the movie and that what people are connecting to is similar to the power of First Reformed, where it's talking about a disaster in our time that makes it like intensely relevant. And I think people are attached to that. I think the movie fucks up with Oppenheimer, but it does establish our own fears,
Right.
and does like manipulate our own fears about nuclear holocaust.
This is what
and
I
I
say
think
to-
that's what has the power of the movie.
This is what I'd like to say to my homeboy, Paul Schrader. I would like to be like, not only is this not the best movie of the century, you've made a better movie this century, which I haven't watched the new one.
It surely ain't your other movies you made this century.
Have you watched the new one?
No, I want to. The Master Gardener.
We'll have to watch that.
I know.
But anyways, yeah, First Reformed fucking rules.
But do you see
I
what I'm
love that
saying?
movie.
The power is similar, where you're dealing with an existential threat, and it is. The movie doesn't deal as much with the character than it does with our own existential feelings of threat,
By the way, that character that
which is effective.
kills himself in First Reformed, that's how I feel right now with AI.
Oh, I thought you said like talking to me.
Like I want to shoot myself because I think it's an impending doom coming.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm sure he'll be fine. But yeah, Cillian Murphy, tremendous. I thought Matt Damon, this is maybe his best acting
We'll be
role.
upset to know that all my opinions, I just had ChatGPT type them up today.
That was great, and I love that it was an event. Like we woke up
It's an
Saturday
event.
morning in San Jose to get tickets, and it was sold. Like the 10:15 was sold out. The 10:30 was
It's going to
sold
be an
out.
event when you've been promoting a movie since 1942. I mean, the press for this movie, I think it started when like Jurassic Park came out. They've been like advertising this movie.
It's been exciting, and I appreciate that people went. I appreciate that it was an event. It's exciting, and there's a brilliant film in there. I mean, there is some of my favorite filmmaking I've seen in a long time in the middle of this
There's
movie.
transcendent moments.
Yeah, it was that middle third was tremendous. I will see it again. And as much as we just talk negative, I always feel like that's the most interesting thing. It's the same with a relationship. No one wants you here to be like. No one wants to hear you go. My wife and I, we get along great. We fuck well, and we laugh. It's just more interesting to be like, yeah, the other day my fucking wife overcooked my shit and it was annoying. Whatever.
What are you, Jake LaMotta?
So don't overcook. It defeats its own purpose. Paul Schrader. But it's a fucking fun movie. It's exciting
Yes.
movie. Many of the performances are great, and it's worth seeing. I will see it again. Probably see it again in the theater. And so I'm grateful for this movie. It'll win a ton of awards. It doesn't suck.
No.
I think a lot of our pushback is that everyone's calling it a fucking masterpiece and the most important film of our time
Right.
and all this stuff. And I'm like, isn't Ex Machina more important and better?
I mean, it's definitely a more
Ex
interesting
Machina rules.
character study. Yeah. I mean, this movie is epic in scope, but like, you know, you can't hide the flaws of the screenplay by just playing music over it. You know, I do think this movie is unique. And there's no other movie like it. I mean, except for JFK and Social Network. But like
Dr. Strangelove and
but like
2001: A Space Odyssey.
I do think
Apollo 13.
I mean, it did feel like you're at times watching something new and exciting, and I think it's most effective.
What's new about it?
I don't know, the way they show the bomb drop. And it just felt so like the IMAX experience, the sound.
Oh,
just
the
felt so-
IMAX.
you wouldn't know. You didn't see it in IMAX. You watched it on like a fucking, iPhone or whatever. But like, but I do think I think it's most effective making us confront our own fear about nuclear holocaust, and it's least effective in understanding any of the characters in the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a
Fun
long
movie.
one.
Great movie.
Great movie. Go watch it.
One thumbs up.
Masterpiece.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It is good. But people are going to fucking be livid with us. I mean, this is going to really be an algorithm.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. They're going to say some really horrible things about you.
Isn't it such an irony that the only reason a joke goes viral is because people in the comments don't understand that it's a joke?
Yeah.
It's like the paradox of online media. Oh, a lot of people heard my joke because no one understood it was a joke and got mad.
It's amazing. I just got a long email from a person that was like, really breaking down who I am as a person and the things
Yeah.
I say. And I'm not responding, and they'll probably hear this maybe, but I'm like, I just want to respond. Like, this whole email is just a person taking jokes seriously.
Yeah, I know.
It was all about like gender and ball busting and being like, you're mean because of this and you're wrong about this. And you're like, as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, you just took a whole lot of stuff very seriously.
And once you see that, you're like, oh, I get it. I get where they're coming from. They're not thinking it's a joke to begin with. So they're like, because people do that with my joke. They're like, this didn't logically make sense. I'm like, yeah. People don't laugh because it logically makes. People are like, ha, 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 that's completely logically coherent.
Right. No, I had a thing recently. I posted an old clip from 12 years ago where I talk about my diet and how I thought steak was good for you. And then
Yeah.
people were like, it is good for you, you piece of shit. And they're all upset.
That's not, yeah.
And you're like,
you're not the fucking nutritional like Department of Nutrition. Like,
yeah. And I'm like, this is an old clip. And it's funny. And I'm like, I also am not so sure it's that good for you.
No, I mean, they're wrong and they're wrong. They're wrong on every level possible.
I'm not
They
saying
boost
it's
the
going to kill
algorithm.
you, but
That-
yeah.
That's the thing. You're like, you have to be like, thank you for calling me a fucking queer,
Well,
because that helps the algorithm.
and this is what's also funny that everyone should be aware of. Nobody is immune to being triggered and upset by a joke.
No.
Because all these people, I'll get this all the time. I assume a lot of my fans hate the PC stuff because of
Yeah.
Tuesdays with Stories, and I'm on Legion of Skanks and Rogan and all this stuff. So I'm sure they hate all the people that are like, you can joke about race and all that.
Yeah.
But then they're like, steak?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're just a triggered person. And then they're like, no, I wasn't. And you're like, no, you did. You heard a joke, got angry
don't
because you
even get me
disagree,
fucking-
and wrote a long
These-
thing about how I'm a moron.
These fucking assholes, especially when it comes to Trump, these fucking guys who like support Trump are like, you can make fun of anything, anti-PC. You say you say Trump's hair was out of place in one shot. They're like, how fucking dare you? Oh, really? A Trump joke? How fucking original. You fucking pussy bitch.
No, it's so bizarre, and they don't see the hypocrisy.
No.
They don't understand that, like, you're the same as this person who's triggered by saying gender or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's awful. It's complete hypocrisy. You know what's even more annoying, honestly, though? The comments where they think you didn't know something that you clearly knew. How
Right.
upsetting that. I got one. The guy apologized and he said he's a fan, so whatever. I posted some joke like, you think when Hitchcock saw Jaws, he was like, oh, it works way better when you use an animal that's already scary. You
Yeah.
know? And someone commented, well, actually, Spielberg used a lot of Hitchcock's techniques in Jaws, creating, like, using the fear of a shark, putting it in your head. So Spielberg owes a lot to Hitchcock. And I'm like, I know that. That's like the first thing I learned in life. I came out of the womb. That was the first thing I learned. Like, what are you, crazy? You don't think I know about the vertigo shot? You don't think I know about the bomb under the table, the thing you imagine? You don't think I know about the fear in your head and using your imagination by associating things? What are you, crazy? But the guy, everyone attacked him, by the way, which is kind of fun. It's like I commented something, and then fans are just your henchmen who just destroy, like, that's also evil. They're just attacking and they're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But anyway, the guy's a fan, but like,
Thank you for watching.
Thank you
I'm
for
sure he's
watching.
watching this. He was a movie guy.
but don't, come on, man. You think I don't know that?
I told you
I
the
don't know that?
one time I tweet on election day 2016. I was like, Trump is such a narcissist. I bet he voted for himself. I've never gotten more blowback on a joke. Everyone's like, they all vote for themselves. You piece of shit. You fucking idiot. What do you think he's gonna do? Vote for Clinton? And I'm like, I mean, I can't even wrap my head around this. It's so weird. It's the classic thing. I think Burr said it's like everything's a joke until it's about their thing.
Well, I'm trying to, my new mantra, I don't know where I heard it, but you have to be okay with people misinterpreting you.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of freedom in that. It's tough because, like, that person who commented that thinks you're retarded.
Right.
They go, Joe is retarded. Joe thinks a president can't vote for himself.
Right.
But you have to just let people misinterpret.
I mean, I currently have like over 2 million people thinking that Bert Kreischer and I are actively fighting, which is a whole other thing. I mean, like,
Well,
literally,
you're just passively fighting.
everybody's just like, you fucking, these guys hate each other, and fuck. I got people. Both of us have the other one writing. Meanwhile, I'm like talking to Bert on the phone. He's like, yeah, I don't. What did they talk? This thing happened 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And we hugged it out and hung out 5 times since then.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you fucking hate each other. You fucking cunt. You pussy. yeah, I'd like to see you guys. And I'm like, this is, I don't know. But anyways, don't believe everything you read in the papers.
Yes.
All right, where are you going to be?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is coming out like tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Great. Yeah, get this. This guy's come off hot off the press.
Oh, shit,
Oh,
Lex. Best in town.
that'd be nice.
I'm going to
What are we doing here? Come on.
Well, sorry. I'm just,
Jesus Christ.
I need people who come to see my shows. Hartford, Connecticut.
When?
Funny Bone. August 18th and 19th.
Yeah.
I hear it's one of the best clubs in the country.
No, you heard the opposite.
No, I'm joking. But I'm sure it's great. I'm just kidding. And come to Hartford, Connecticut. I can't. They're gonna paper the room. I need people in there.
Yeah, please
You
go.
told me that
Buy
nightmare
tickets.
about that one paper show.
I don't remember.
You got like a great show, and then the other show was like papered. It was like the worst experience
Oh,
of your
yeah.
life. So please come. Seriously, Hartford, Connecticut, August 18th and 19th. Going to be in Tulsa on August 25th. Vermont Comedy Club, September 8th through 9th. Opening for Neil Brennan and Whitney Cummings all over the place. Zanies in Chicago, September 21 through 23.
You're opening for Neil?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I love Neil.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, I got a new special, August 18th
Whoa.
on this channel.
Whoa,
So
August
make
18th.
sure you subscribe.
I love it. It's so great. It's
Few
better
weeks
than
away.
it's really funny.
It's better than what?
Your last shit? I don't know. You get better every time.
Oh, thanks. Anyways, August 18th, right
Big
here on this
improvement.
channel.
You really showed a lot. No, I'm joking.
It's called Enough for Everybody. It'll be out. And then this weekend, I'm in Providence, Rhode Island, Comedy Connection. Next weekend, Portland, Helium. I got Nashville coming up. I got one night only at Zanies. We just added a show. That's September 5th, I think, between Pearl Jam shows. It's a Wednesday. And bunch of other stuff. DC Improv, I think. I'm having a child soon, so please just Venmo me money. I want to kill myself. AI is going to destroy us all. Send me some good news on AI. I'm terrified. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
We should have a new episode in the next 6
Year
or
and a
7
half.
months.
All right.
Yeah, we'll do Barbie.
Yeah.
I think that's going to infuriate me, though, from what I've heard.
Yeah, it really is funny. The man's movie, the woman's movie. Dolls and atomic bombs.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think the political correctness is going to really make me
It's going to be
furious.
awful.
But I love Greta
Women
Gerwig.
suck. And
Frances Ha is a masterpiece,
joking.
and
Yeah, Greta
also
Gerwig's great.
Lady Bird,
fucking
incredible.
Little Women's great. All right, come see us. Cut, action, shoot.
Bye.
Joe likes Scorsese, and Raanan is Jewy. It's Joe and Raanan talk movies.